What's up, guys? Back on me is here. We got Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Season 1, Episode 8, I, Robot, Eugene. Okay, so this episode starts off in the 1400s of all places, and and we see this creature saying that the Spanish guy, they speak Spanish, and yeah, but that creature gets with a chant and gets put into this book. So then in the 1997, which is where this show takes place, we see we see Buffy unearthing the book that creature was trapped in, and basically Willow, she scans the book, scanning the creature into the internet. Yeah, plot already weird. So the creature, which is called Malak, he's already, he's controlling two nerds, Dave and Ziff. Wait, yeah, I think that's his name, and he's talking to Willow under the name Malcolm, and Willow's really liking him and we even get this new character named Mrs. Calendar, and she's a friend of, I think she's a friend of Giles. Yeah, she's a friend of Giles, and she's a friend of Giles. Sorry, I said Giles, but it's Giles. But anyway, yeah. So Willow continues to talk to this guy, and yeah, and Buffy's and Buffy, she's confused, she's why, why, have you ever met this guy in real life? Why are you only talking to him on the phone, talking to him on the computer, and yeah, and she even sends the other nerd, the GIF guy, I forget his name, to kill Buffy, and basically, yeah, and Buffy's like, why are you, in, I haven't ever met him before, and Buffy's like, Willow's like, we really like each other, and yeah, so yeah, and she continues to talk to him, and basically, yeah, and he says, oh yeah, Buffy's dangerous. She got kicked out of school and all stuff. And she's like, and Willow's like, you don't even know Buffy well. Dave's, Dave, the other guy is being told by Moloch to hurt Buffy for some weird reason. Yeah, and they realize that, and they realize that Moloch is, controlling those two guys, because Dave puts her in a trap for that other guy to kill her, and yeah, and and Willow, and they realize, and Willow gets kidnapped by two guys, and Moloch's basically become one of those robotic cheesy villains, and he's like, oh yeah, with the help controlling of these two nerd guys, I was able to become whole, and I was able to get a robot body. And it's like, give me a break. It's like, give me a break, bro. Yeah. And yeah. So he's like, because of you, Willow, our love is. And Willow's basically like, why her? Like, why her? Why do you need her? And she's like, and he's like, and yeah, so Buffy and the others are able to save Willow. Yeah, and Willow's like, hey Malcolm, we're breaking up. Boom, 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 and yeah, and Giles back over in Giles is Giles is back in the library. Giles is Giles is, writing about his reading the spell, and they pound Moloch down and basically defeat him, and basically they end the episode with laughing at Buffy. Basically, Willow's like, how could I how can I fall in love with a demon creature? And basically, and Buffy's like, hey, I fell in love with a vampire, and and then Xander's like, hey, I fell in love with a substitute teacher who turned out to be a praying mantis. And basically that wraps up this episode. Okay, so what did I think of this episode? This episode wasn't good. It was not as good as I thought it was. It's not great of an episode. I would tell you to give it a skip if it's the first Willow centric episode, but if you want to see Willow talking to a computer who is an actual demon creature who loves her, but yeah, and and that that Mo guy, he actually kills the Dave guy, the Dave guy. He kills him because Dave didn't want her to breathe anymore. So the guy was like, "Oh yeah, then I'll kill you." So yeah. So this episode is not watchable. I watched it. I did. I did like it, but it was just. I don't recommend you to watch this one. It's not great, but it's not bad either. It's just for a Willow episode, which Willow is one of my favorite characters. I love her actress, and I just don't know why this episode's so bad. It's just that because of the whole, the the creature having to control people to build him a robot body. Basically, he became he he became one of those characters. I was gonna say he became sort of Lex Luthor with. Yeah, well, anyway, this episode just isn't as great as I thought it was. For a Willow-centric episode, I would give it a pass if you were willing to check this one out. If you were doing reviews for it, I'd say, hey, check it out. But if you're doing it as a, watcher of the show, I'd just say this episode is not all that great. It's just not. I wouldn't give it a watch for a fan. I wouldn't give this episode a watch as a fan. If you're a beginner, I wouldn't give this episode a watch as a beginner. But if you're doing a review series on like I am, give it a watch. It's for review's sake. But this episode just isn't all. It's not all in stellar. So, get it? In stellar. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Hope you have a wonderful evening. I'll see you next Buffy the Vampire Slayer.